My name is Luigi. For some who it's the first time over here, I'm the chef owner of our Tiramisu Restaurant. Welcome. And I'd like to introduce my great famous author, chef, award winner, study, research, not to mention that I'm honored to be friends, Riolo.
Thank you all so much for coming this morning. It's great to have all of you here. I know some of you have either been here before or been to some of my classes before, so it's great to have you both together. The Italian Prime Minister comes here, lots of very famous people come here, and he's always the go-to chef for that. So it's great to be able to work with him and to be able to share all of this experience with you guys. So we're going to go back there and we're going to get really intimate because it's close. And
therefore we better like each other.
Exactly.
The key is like a great mascarpone, of course the eggs is important, and the espresso. The espresso is what gives the body of our tiramisu.
So the cookies that we use in making tiramisu are called savoiardi, and they're lady fingers in English. But the reason their name is savoiardi is because they come from Savoia. In the 15th century, they actually developed a recipe for the King of France, who was coming to visit Savoia, because northern Italy, Piemonte, Torino, these places, they were under the control and went back and forth between Italy and France for many, many years. So the King of France was coming, and they made these lady fingers to celebrate him, and that's why they called them savoiardi. So this is 15th century. Then 200 years later, in the 17th century, the Duke, who was Cosimo de' Medici III, was, they wanted to honor him with a dessert. So they said, you know, this is in Siena, and he makes fun of me. Every time we go to eat, there has to be a story. He's like, can I just eat? And I'm telling the story. But anyway, so 1700s, in Siena, Cosimo de' Medici, who was the Duke, they wanted to honor him, and they made the recipe for what they called the zuppa del Duca, which is the soup of the Duke. And this soup was a sweet soup, and it's kind of like a trifle, and became the origin of what we know as tiramisu. How it happened was the Florentines got this from Siena, and they said this is a really nice restaurant. So like the intellectuals and the artists and those kind of high society people started following what the Duke was doing. It became popular in Florence. Then it went to Venice, and the courtesans fell in love with it, and then it became a courtesan kind of sweet.
And of course right now there is a war going on, like we were the first, no, it's actually now, we were this, like of course the Italian.
But yeah, but the lovely thing about food history, I always tell people, it doesn't matter who had it first, it's what everybody did with it that's so cool. Here's a little bonus recipe, you guys. What could they do if they wanted to turn this into a sorbetto?
Sorbetto. You saw the strawberry, like they were cut, even more ripe. You freeze it. I mean, you put it in a tray, like that big china over there, the square china. You put it in a tray that basically they don't touch each other, and you freeze it. I mean, completely frozen. You take it out, you leave it 10 minutes outside, and just like that you can start it, and then you put it in the Vitamix, and then the big blender.
Heavy duty blender.
Heavy duty. And then as they are, you take the products and you put it in a container, you freeze it, and then you scoop, you have the best sorbet in your life.
You can add citrus, you can add Prosecco.
Yeah, banana, pear, peach. The day after, you do that blend. Mwah. Yes, I love it. Because it's 100% fruits. There is no chemical, there is no other things or anything that people put over there. Okay.
Are you going to show them to top this, or are we going to do that later?
No, we do later on the way, once we serve it. And then during the occupation of the Arab, also according to some ceremony, they start to add the candy fruit inside, and then finally it's as we have it today.
In the 16th century, sugar was sold in apothecaries. And they used to sell like a teaspoon at a time if someone was lethargic or melancholic or they didn't know how to cure them, they give them a teaspoon of sugar.
It was a medicine.
It was a medicine, and sugar was really expensive. So these are actually, noble desserts. That's why some of them were made for the Duke or for the King or because not everybody could afford it. People were still using like honey and molasses to sweeten things in those days.
Mostly ancient recipe, especially the pastry. They are made with honey because sugar wasn't popular yet, it was not available. And so mostly, particularly in the convents, the nun, the monk, they used to have a lot of honey, develop a lot of recipe on that.
We talk a lot about how many, this is one of them that lived through the convents, but there are so many Italian, Spanish recipes that lived through the monasteries, through the convents. This is one of Luigi's favorite things to talk about.
Yeah,
Tell them about some of like the liqueurs and the
Well, yeah, I
wines.
mean, like a lot of
While I store.
even like the Sangiovese, the wine, the Sangiovese, Ninsanto, Dom Perignon. Who doesn't know the champagne? It was a monk who actually came up with the idea how to control the C2 in a bottle because they had a problem like every years in May the whole wine like boom would explode. Like what the heck's going on? You know, she does have the face of like a cat who just swallow a canary. You know.
Okay, so for the filling, most important ingredient is ricotta. Does everybody know about ricotta? Okay. In this country, kind of like the same thing with the Greek yogurt. It's always cow's milk. In Sicily, it's always sheep's milk. And you don't even have to specify because everybody knows in Sicily that it's made from sheep's milk.
In Calabria, in my area, it's most of the goat because it's a terroir where there are a lot of goats. Of course, people make ricotta with that one.
Yes, yeah, and it's really, really delicious. They have their more rich flavor and a little bit more delicate than what we have in this one. But this is still good too. So get the best quality you can. At the end of the class, I'll tell you about how to make it from scratch. But if not, just get a really good quality. If you can get hand dipped, better. And what I usually do.
Remember, she said the best quality you can. Anytime you work in the kitchen, you get the best product. You have 50% of your job done.
It's true. It's true. Is there any other questions or comments for us?
So you both really have a historic understanding of the food and where it came from and the history of it, and
That's,
yes,
that's actually how we started working together because
Yeah.
some of his clients and some of people that I work with said, you guys have a similar philosophy, you should meet. And even though we were in the same area, we never met. So when we met, we had that in common. We started doing a lot of lecturing and teaching and programming and things like that that we're working on writing because it's very important. And there are a lot of traditions that are going to be lost. When you think about people not cooking, it's not just a danger because people aren't cooking in their health and the physical aspects of themselves, but there's whole traditions that are being lost. And like the traditions a lot of times brought community together and brought people together. And so now not only are you eating unhealthy and you're being isolated, but these wonderful traditions that people had of getting together are being lost. So we try to keep those alive, and either whether it's documenting them in books or videos, or Luigi goes back to Italy and does different events, there sometimes too, to make sure that things are going forward. I'm a food historian. I belong to a group called the Culinary Historians of Washington, and actually Luigi does now too. And so we do a lot of lecturing on history of many different things.
You can tell that she cannot touch one thing to tell you the story of 2,000 years ago. It's a fascinating. It's true.
But if you talk about the food, everybody comes, and at the end of the day, it really does affect diplomacy because, as you heard from in there, the kings and the queens, and there's a lot of political stuff behind food. So it's it's an easy way, when you're eating, it's much easier to start a conversation than when you're not, whether it's business or anything else.
Because if inside we all respect the food. I mean, it's like through food that we survive, we make our own day, and most of the time we share it with people who care more. I mean, like your family, your friends. Think about it. Every time you graduate, you have a first date, or you get engaged. You sign a contract. Every important things in your life, you always end up to have a great event, a great dinner, or a ceremony or reception, because you want to confirm. You want to have all your great people through a meal. Have it there approved that you've done something great that you're proud of and you want to share that. So the meal, anybody who you meet the first time or anything, etc., there is always involved a dinner. Think about it. There is no way that you're going to have an event without to have a dinner or a reception or something that you want to show the appreciation and the approval.